a high priestess in a folkloric witchcraft tradition, and I've been brewing magic for a very long time now. Come on in, let's brew some together. Hello, hello! All my House of Witchcraft folk, you know I'm loving on you hard. I have got a special sound wave message just for my House of Witchcraft members here on YouTube, so please stay tuned for it. And of course, as y'all can see, this is looking a little different. I got a guy right beside me, Robert, who is joining us. This is my first time getting to do like the Zoom interview thing.
Oh, excellent.
So I went and found me a friend, because that's the best person to start with when you're doing it. And then I decided I was going to twist him up just a tad, and I'm not going to tell him what the topic is. And I told him just, trust me. And he did. So first gold star to you, because you ought not ever trust a dark witch.
Well, you did give me that one warning. You said, "Are you drinking anything?" And I said, "Yes." And I showed my beer. So I'm a little bit prepared. So maybe I should wait.
Okay, well, right now we're all up in the season of the dead. And I do want to give a little disclosure that Robert is part of that House of Witchcraft, or a group that we have and everything. So I already know some of the stuff that he feels about this. So it's not like I'm just saying stuff to him. All right. The season of the dead, we're talking about ways the dead communicate with us. All right. But I wanted to talk about us setting up conduits to the dead, ways to encourage dead folk to talk to us, ways to encourage spirit realm to talk to us. See, he's smiling because he's like, I know this subject.
Mm-hmm.
You thought it was going to be something hard, didn't you?
I didn't know what I was prepared for anything. So
well, let's talk about conduits first of all. One of the, you're like me, you're a good Southern conjuring, magical, witchy type person and everything. And so for us, it's really common to put that glass of water up on the altar for spirit realm folk. And some folks will tell you, 2 glasses of water, or do you have a preference between 1 glass of water or 2 glasses of water?
I actually have usually just 1 glass of water, and it's actually one that I've drunk from, and it's like I always leave it. I never have an empty glass. It's something that you just do naturally, and for some reason it just feels right to have it almost all drunk. And it's just, I feel like I've moved it. It's almost natural the way that it's there, and you kind of you'll look at it and you think I should put that glass up, and you just don't. It's just there by your bedside all day long, and it's and I've used them just a little bit, usually on my Yule altar and stuff like that. But as far as something that you kind of just naturally work in your everyday life, it just will kind of naturally happen. The magic folk will have just a glass of water sitting, like in that movie Signs, that Joaquin Phoenix and Mel Gibson movie. There was little glasses of water everywhere, and it set up a bigger moment in the movie where they needed it to fight the aliens. So I kind of am always thinking that, like, why did I leave this glass of water out? It must have some kind of magical intent.
Well, there's something about water that allows electromagnetic energies to flow through it.
Yes, I feel like when it comes to water, that's one of the best manifestation elements. The shower. When you're in the shower, I feel like I'm talking straight to the universe, and everything I've ever asked for in the shower, I have gotten. Which is very powerful. That feeling.
Water.
It's elemental.
Yes, the element of water, and you can use the element of water to act as a conduit. If you're trying to get messages from the dead, you want to set up a place where you can have spirit realm folk and which are attracted to it. One of the things you can see behind me is all the different skulls that we have up for the House of Witchcraft, that group. working with skulls with lower mandibles allows for messages to come through. It lets spirit realm know that you're waiting for them to speak. And I was really surprised because I had heard about this, years ago, that, a skull will talk to you if it has a lower jaw, and I didn't think too much of it. I just thought it was some of those low country strange folks, how we have things down there. That
Yeah, it's like, are they drinking the moonshine? Are they just pulling my leg? Or is it magic?
Yeah, it was just one of those quirk things. And then when I started doing research, I found out that this is really very common, not only around the world right now as we're speaking, but going back into history. It's like almost every civilization, almost every culture has somehow venerated or used a skull to connect to spirit realm.
Like in the medieval art or the Renaissance art, you can turn the paintings a certain way and see the skull.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was to remind them of what was awaiting everybody. They were super connected with that.
They're far more connected with it than what I think we are. We are so removed from it, and I think that's why it's so important during right now, the season of the dead, the time of the dead, that we really embrace that. Now's the time to take out those little mementos and those memories and those photo albums and go through them and laugh and cry, but most important, remember.
Right. It's a time when it's like we kind of fear the dead and we want to put death as far away from us as possible. But it is something that is there. It has been there, death, and it's got more people than we have living. It will always be there with us. Why not welcome it? Why not say, oh, old friend, you've been here since the beginning of time. It's cool. We can be cool about this. There was that story, it was a scary story, and the death waved, oh no, this is what happened. This young man went to town and he saw death, and he came back home and he was frantic, and he told his father, I must leave. Death is coming for me. And so he packed up and left and went away, and his father was very worried. And then death came to the father. The father saw death somehow, and he said, and death said, oh, I think I scared your son. I beckoned to him. I have an appointment with him later in town.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
And that's what this season of the dead should teach us, is to embrace it as part. We talk a lot about, as magical, mystical folk and reincarnation and the life, death, rebirth cycle, and we can all blue, but when you're in the middle of it, then, and it becomes real.
It's a scary time. It's an experience.
Right.
And for those of us that have helped, someone pass over, there's stages of it that you're not aware of. It's kind of a beautiful, very spiritual thing that it's hard to it's hard to describe, because scientifically it's like you're kind of going along, and I guess we think of death as like this slow decline, but it's not. It's like you kind of get into death mode, like people make a change and they're in death mode, and then you're like in this long stretch, and anything can happen. And I remember when my grandfather passed away, my grandmother, who they were divorced and she's a hospice nurse, we were asking her, how much time is there left? And this was when he was terminal. She said he's probably got about 6 weeks left. She knew just by the telling what he was. And we would ask her how much time left. She said maybe 2.5 or 3 weeks. And it was on the money. She just, as a hospice nurse, she remembered.
She felt the energy.
She did. And then they have this thing called a sudden change, which is a wonderful, nebulous, magical term that science has to use because there's no other word for it. It's the sudden change. It could be anything. Grandfather's sudden change was he threw up. After he threw up, he was not himself anymore.
Right.
But before that, they always see people that have passed before. Everybody sees their mother, they see other people that have died, and that is 2 weeks Scientifically, it's 2 weeks before they pass away. And if you take a hospice volunteer class, or if you are a hospice nurse, everybody knows if they say they saw their mom, you got 2 weeks left in the living. It's mathematical. That just blows my mind that
But
medicine acknowledges that.
Don't you also think it reinforces that life, death, rebirth cycle?
It definitely does.
There's something going on.
It's so cyclical. They can pinpoint and say you're 2 weeks away. That's the one that I remember most. There's other little signs that only my grandmother knew. Then when he did his change, we were in this different cycle of your body doing different things. And we said, how much time left? And her answer was this magical and mystical one. She said, he's on God's time now. And there comes a point in the death process when you're on God's time, when no one knows. It could be a day, it could be the next day. And actually, Granddad held on for about a week until his birthday, and he died on his birthday. His sudden change happened on a Sunday. His birthday was Friday. And he held no food or water for those days, because he couldn't take them. But he held on. And so he went on his birthday. That's such a weird thing.
The spirit had to finish something.
Right. Granddad always liked bringing in his birthday. He just liked it.
There was that one last thing I got to do before I leave.
I'm going to get my next birthday. And he was, and that's the way it worked. And I remember, and I told you, I used to hang up all of my greeting cards for the year on my wall. And I was writing his obituary, and his last birthday card to me fell off the wall, only his. And it was just kind of like a nod, and then, everyone in the family had dreams about him and kind of helped us through the grieving process. But, my mother and I had a more magical sense of it. It felt very spiritual and calm to us, and we were okay. And we would talk to him normally in his process. She's like, Daddy, I'm gonna put my feet on the side of your bed right here. And of course he wasn't responding, but she would do it. And but other members of the family that were not as welcoming of it.
I was gonna say, that's a perfect segue, because I know that your Southern storytelling
a long time.
Put us sitting on the front porch all afternoon. But that is a perfect segue where we were talking about ways to get dead folk to talk to us, ways to encourage messages. What you were talking about, what your mama was doing, talk to them like they're there.
Right. Whether they're, if they're not responsive, you can still talk to them. They'll probably hear more than anything else. When they're completely gone, if you're comfortable talking to a very sick person, you can be comfortable talking to them when they're gone. And it might just be, I'm sorry you're gone. I remember saying that afterwards. And I've talked to other people that are gone. It feels good. Sometimes you can really feel heard. I don't know how to explain it other than you can just feel heard. You want to get, calm. And you can just talk to them and say whatever you'd like, and I believe that if you have some drama with someone, you think that if there's drama and that someone dies, then there's no more drama. No, it becomes weird, and it kind of amplifies in a way. But now's the best time. You got a captive audience, and there's no flesh and blood to make things we're imperfect because we're in this body that feels things. And when you're not there anymore, it's a much different experience,
And that's where also, especially, I know we got some new novice type witches, and you're thinking that, I don't want to talk to some of my families. And you don't have to, sweetheart. What we do is when we ask the folks to come into our space, we put caveats on it. Meaning that I will say, all those who are well-intended towards me, you are welcome into this space.
Come if you're bringing love.
Come if you're bringing love. Come if you are coming for the betterment of me. If what you is bringing me, your wisdom is for my betterment. However you want to say your words, because when, we're talking about, just all these dead people around us. we all have spirit folk around us. Some are spirit guides, some are ancestral connected to us, some are culturally connected, some are our chosen dead. And sometimes you just have somebody show up that you sort of like and you develop a relationship with, you know? But you're in control. You get to choose. All right. It's your space. I want to put that caveat as we were speaking, because you were getting, and I'm like, yeah, a lot of the folks that tune into House of Witchcraft, they're beginning their journey. And I don't want them to all of a sudden feel like, you know, you got to go welcome all of your crap family into your space. Yes, this is a great time for healing to occur. One of the Cottage coven witches had a really good healing happening for her on her maternal side, where she was able to connect back to that great-grandmother's great-grandmother energy. And she had like this really warm, fuzzy Nana experience, you know, where, you know, for her in previous, she could not connect maternally because she does not have that immediate with her mother or her grandmother. They're very toxic relationships. Something I think we can all identify with. And that's where you don't feel like you should work on maternal energy, but I encourage you to do it even harder, because I guarantee you somewhere in your mother's, there is an Anna who loves you too. All right. And you can connect to that feminine side of your line, that maternal, you know, because a lot of us aren't like, you know, we got the short stick and we didn't get the good next relations. Grandpa was a drunk. Why do I want to put him on my altar, you know, type things. You don't have to.
One of the a generous thing that I like to think of the path, once someone's gone, it kind of doesn't matter if they were a good person or a bad person here, because they're not here anymore. One of the things that I like to think of is they tried their best. Like if you just believe everyone is doing their best, then it kind of lets you see them in a new light. Because very rarely, even people that are like the worst drunks in the world or homeless, they're not thinking, I want to ruin my life and have a hard time and have my feet hurt and not have a place to sleep. No one wants that. Everyone wants a warm bed. Everyone wants comfort. Everyone wants a family. Everyone or loved ones around them. You know, everyone wants that. Everyone's trying their best. It's just that while we're here, you know, we have to deal with being human, and that causes problems. So if we can just forgive the mess, we can just say they tried the best they could. And there are, you know, humans are good and bad. And so they did some good things too, probably. And there are some things that we just won't know, like especially if you go through your family tree. I know who came over on the boat in 1796, and I don't know that person. We actually only remember people for 3 generations. Anything else is going to be just historical knowledge.
And you can still connect to that energy in your personal ancestral line in a positive way. A spirit realm is where healing can occur, where you were talking, yeah, Grandpa. Also, I think for us as we get older and we experience things, that we get the backstory of Grandpa that we weren't told as a 12-year-old, that now as a 45-year-old, I'm starting to understand Grandpa was a little more complex. Like what you were saying, he did not, nobody sits in kindergarten and says, I would like to be a drunk on Skid Row when I grow up and leave my wife and 3 kids homeless. Nobody's life goal is that. But unfortunately, that's how some folks end. And if you're involved in it, you have to start finding that place of healing to know that that was a whole person with many complexities. You and I have talked about the fact that within the dark, there is light, and within the light, there is dark. There's no such thing as all good or all bad. You know, you know, the worst of person is also at times the kindness, where you find, you know, these, you know, jacked up serial killers, you know, bred birds.
Yeah, that kind of weird thing, or like, you know, adopted children, you know, go to church, you know, give to their community. And it's like, but I'm also the BTK killer, you know.
And
There's
so as we get older, I think we learn to give our folks a break.
Right. There's I learned in New Orleans, I think it was from the Urzuli's voodoo shop.
Ooh,
They
I
said,
love that shop.
I love it too. I think it was Anna. She gave a little tour and she said, every tradition has its blessings and its curses.
Hmm.
Deal with the blessings only. And so, and I know that sometimes a bad ancestor, it might overpower them. Um, for instance, like in my area, we have Pee Wee Gaskins, and
Right.
everyone's got a Pee Wee Gaskins story. There's also another something on
I
Snapped,
was
like
gonna say we need to stop and put a little X that he was like this mass murderer guy that terrorized the low country of South Carolina for how many years?
like maybe like 20 years or
I mean,
something.
because he was like the boogeyman story for us.
Yeah, he was, and no one knew who he was for many years. He
Yeah.
was very little. That's why his name was Pee Wee. He drove a hearse, and he just got a bad feeling, and then he would have to go cruising and pick up hitchhikers and kill them. They're probably still finding bodies
Right. We
that he buried.
don't know what Pee Wee was doing on some of those back roads.
Right.
And everything. But like you were saying, on the flip side was if you had met him, he was a nice community man.
Right. And everyone has a story, and he had family that loved him. It was, just it's hard you never think about people, like how do they react to a family member that did this great, atrocity. And I don't know specifically his family, but there's another person in this area who like killed her husband and hid him like under her house or something. And she's on some episode of Snapped, I think like Snapped Coward. But I've met one of her cousins, and her cousin said, well, I still love her, and it's like, well, yeah, if someone in my family did something, I wouldn't be like, oh, I hate this person now. It's like, oh, we've had, like, I think Charles Bukowski had a poem, and at the end of it, he said, but think about how many cups of coffee we've had. We've had so many cups of coffee with these people. We've had way more cups of coffee than they've committed atrocities. Which one do we go with?
And we go with both.
Because they're both true.
You really learn to make peace. And I know for a lot of you magical folks, which is out there dealing with your season to the dead, your ancestral altars, I hope you take all the things that we're talking about really to heart and start looking for that place of forgiveness, looking from that place of healing. Because ultimately forgiveness is about you.
Mm-hmm.
When you have the ability to forgive that, you are going to find just your whole energy vibration gets upped.
Right.
How to the right words, but we forgive for ourselves. All right. And it is a struggle sometimes. Okay. And being a witch doesn't make it where we magically can handle it. I had to go through many seasons with some of my personal traumas, and I still sometimes, have to stop like the conversation we're having and remember the complexities of life. And that is also the complexities of spirit realm folk. All right. And they're leaning in because they're still involved in you with some way. And I personally believe that the vast majority, 99.9%, are there to help.
Right. But they just want to connect. It's got to be lonely to leave everything you've ever known.
And so, that, oh my goodness, that's all Hollywood bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
None of that stuff's going to happen. All right. The worst that's going to happen is nothing.
You probably should just expect that, or a card will come off the wall. Yeah.
Start with nothing, and then when the picture falls off the wall, you're good.
Right. Stop there.
And that's why another thing you were talking about, pictures, another good conduit for getting spirit realm to communicate with us is mirrors.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I've done some scrying.
you know, and there are a couple of different thoughts where people are, you know, that you can only use a special mirror or it has to be a black mirror and stuff like this. Dude, yeah, I am of the Do You Boo Witchcraft School, and if you feel like a black mirror is what you need, go to the dollar store, spray paint the back black, put it back in frame. You have got a black mirror. All right.
Easy.
It's that if you, you know, I have a beautiful, the one actually sitting up behind me that you guys can see is a wonderful 1880s, 1890s antique mirror out of an estate sale in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And when I first saw the mirror across the room, I
And
mean,
it saw you.
I saw the mirror across the room, you know, and I mean, and just like going up to it. And when I just first looked into it, it was like, it has soul, it has spirit.
How many people have looked in that mirror?
Yes. And so that is my spirit mirror per se. And I just like you, I love the history of it. I love thinking about all of the people that looked in it, making sure that they looked nice enough to go outside.
And maybe hadn't seen themselves in a long time too.
And they looked in the mirror and they smiled and they felt pretty about what they saw. That's the energy that mirror gives me.
Right.
And I love it. I don't know its history from where it got from point A to point B. I know where I got it at and everything else. And like I said, as soon as I saw it, I vibed on it. And just if you want a mirror, if you're thinking this sounds really cool, go to yard sales, go to those little antique stores, you know? And when you will, it doesn't matter its shape or size. What matters is that you can see the spirit realm in it, you know? And I have a friend that has a little hand mirror from like 1760.
That's a good one. That's probably on a pirate ship or something.
It is this really pretty little hand mirror. It was like a lady's maid's hand mirror. It's fancy, but it's not that fancy. Okay. But there's something about it, and she will set it up and put a candle in front of it. And
that's actually one time someone gave me a small mirror for my birthday when I worked at a coffee shop, and she said, mirror, candle, put the mirror behind the candle, you get double the light. That's all she said to me, and she gave it to me through the window. And I always remember the candle in front of the mirror. So
it is, yes, candles, lighting candles is another way to encourage dead folk to come into your area. And I got to keep this video on time or else folks are going to be like, how long can y'all talk?
We can talk a long time.
And we'll talk today if you leave it to us. Other ways that you encourage dead folk, you encourage spirit realm folk to come into your area is burning herbal incense. And so,
yes.
I'm going to give a shout out to those videos that you can see that I upload every Wednesday on a new herbal incense. And all through this month, all I've been doing is good Season of the Dead recipes. So please check those out. And I'm gonna get my glasses to make sure I got all my notes.
Okay.
I had little notes here, and I just wanted to make sure that I got them all because we talked about mirrors, we talked about skulls. And you know, my phone goes off every video, and I would like to say, Daniel, don't you dare timestamp that phone going off. That's what I'm saying, son. I know how you are. You just sitting there chuckling to yourself right now with the fact Taren's phone went off again. This is the one, actually, that you, Robert, reminded me of. Was when we talk about conduits, we forget to talk about like times of the day. And you were telling Yes.
The sunset.
Yeah, the dusk. Yeah.
I just saw the sunset tonight, 6:40.
See, but that
Mhm.
moment of in between and how you can get spirit realm messages.
Yes, there's weird things happen at the beginning or at the sunset. You feel the temperature change. The atmosphere changes a little bit. Sometimes all the birds go quiet. It's, and then the crickets start. And it happens at that moment. And sometimes I call up a friend who is like maybe they're a couple minutes later. What time is your sun setting? Oh, it's setting at 6:43. Mine's at 6:40. And so we kind of compare what's happening at the same time. And we're sending pictures of the sunsets. It's a marvelous time, just, the sunset of people's lives. That's when you think about the people that have gone, the ways your life have changed. Sunsetting and the darkness that comes afterwards, think about how beautiful sunsets are. They show you how beautiful it is for the day to end, for the life to end. It can be a beautiful moment. The season of the dead shows us how beautiful it is to let dead things go. You get these beautiful leaves, you get this beautiful time of year. Everyone loves fall. No one goes as crazy about a season in America at this point in time as they do about fall. Autumn, 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 fall, fall, fall. It's a
What's
beautiful
that?
time. Yeah. We collectively know this time of the
This
dead is
is,
important.
I mean, and technically, actually, the season is from September 21st, fall equinox, until winter solstice, which is December 21st. And you will find some witches, some magic folks in the community that do the complete season. Traditionally, we do the month of October. You'll hear it referenced as the season of the witch within many of our witchcraft traditions, because they do from October 1st to November 1st. Within the House of Witchcraft tradition, we go in from October 1st until November's full moon, and or we feel like it.
Do you, boo?
Because of the yes, because each season is different and how you tune in. And sometimes you need a shorter season and other times you need a longer season. All right. Ultimately, what I tell witches is you're going to start feeling the coming light, because that's the change of our year. On December 21st, we go to the light half of the year when the sun is building. The dark half of the year is when the sun is diminishing. You're going to feel it internally. You're going to feel the coming light.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it's time to put away the dead things.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to turn towards the light. All right. Too much time with the dead is not healthy. All right. Have a good season with the dead, put them away. We are part of the land of the living. We
Right.
need to stay in the land of the living,
This is a much shorter time for us than the other part of it. So enjoy this while you got it.
Yes. And we use this season to strengthen our connections. We use it like we were talking earlier, that healing that goes on during this time, a time for remembrance. Because as human beings, when we like somebody, we don't like it when they leave us.
Right.
And we need to reconnect to that memory periodically, and that's where, when you were talking dusk, the moment of in between, the time to take a little walk down a trail in nature and really take those moments to breathe, take those moments to hear the crunch of the leaves.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lucky, I'm in Southern California. We ain't got no crunch here, baby.
How does it feel in the autumn and the season of the dead versus the low country?
It is a different energy. Um, but the low country, we have so much dead around us. We've got all those little family cemeteries, and then you get in like our towns, like you get down to Bonadventure in Savannah, and you get into the crypts. Even in Charleston, we have crypt cemeteries that we visit more. I would
Mhm.
say the difference in the flavor is uh, the Conjuring folk in the look, we spend time with the dead year round. Whereas here, you have to like go find the dead. But I'm not, and that's not fair for me to speak because I've only been here, what, just over 4 years now?
Mhm.
And I'm not native. I'm still learning the flavor of the land and their magic, native magic folk here, the indigenous folk and the Mexicans, the Latino folks. I mean, there isn't that blending of magic that we have on the East Coast. So it's a very different flavor. And you and I are going to talk a little bit about that later on because I'm going to let y'all know we're doing but if you pay attention here, next week's video coming out, Robert and I are going to talk a little bit about our heritage and our culture, which happens to be all up in some hoodoo.
Yes.
And the fact that white people do hoodoo. Unbeknownst, it seems, to everyone outside of the South, and everything, what there's going on the social media and all that other stuff. No, it's like him and I joke about the fact that we know everybody's doing it.
Everyone.
Everyone's doing it. And
Mhm.
it's just part of our norm. We're going to do, like I said, we're going to talk about that next week. But we're going to finish up here on how we're opening up how we open up our area, how we open up ourselves, times to receive these messages from the dead. And of course, last week I did put that video up there about 7 ways the dead speak to us. So now you know the signs of the dead and how they're going to communicate with Robert and I done talked about different ways to open up your area, your headspace, times a day, to allow them to come in and give these messages. So of course, I want to hear in the comment section below, what are you doing? All right, what are your conduits? What are your conductors? All right, for allowing spirit folk to give you a message. And of course, I want to thank Robert here, my low country witch. He's actually my BFF.
Yep. 7 years strong.
We have been BFFs and everything. Obviously, he's from the Florence, South Carolina area. Where I used to live, and that's where we met and everything. And so of course I want y'all to tune into the video we got coming up next week. And more importantly, witches, I want you to hit that subscribe button. All right,
Click it.
click it. I will join the House of Witchcraft. We're wonderful, and the greatest thing about us is you get to decorate your room the way you want to. And if you're really vibing and you're liking what you're listening to, please hit that join button that you see right beside the subscribe. All right, on the different tiers you choose. It's all about supporting the House of Witchcraft. I do not have any exclusive material. I refuse to put anything behind a paywall. All right, witches, I want y'all to have as bright of a blessed day as I'm having. And it never changes, of course. It's always the same. Amen. Blessed be. Ashe and a bobo.